Hello, in this video you will see how to override the most common ToString method in a record type, not in a class, which you have probably seen many times. Perhaps it is a sort of mysterious thing as well. There is a video for that as well. It's relatively straightforward thing to do. It's not that tricky. But it's something that a lot of people find perhaps a bit confusing, but it is also available everywhere. If you ever use a library of sorts, you'll probably at some point encounter ToString that is actually overridden, because normally if you do it on a sort of not a generic type, but something like a class, it will just output some incoherent piece of text, or perhaps the name of a type or something of that nature. But you can actually override those so you can display different things. Say for a product, you might display product name, product barcode with a name, whatever it is you decide to display, or perhaps all the properties inside a class, or in this case, inside a record. Both the options are possible. In .NET 9, of course, we have a record. Sometimes we use them, sometimes we don't. That is a separate topic. But in this example, we have a record called person, which takes first name, last name, and date of birth. Now, inside it, we have public override. So that is how you override methods. That is, if you have ever touched on Blazor, for example, or on WPF, you must have seen the overrides. They are more sort of available and out in the open than all these sort of generic class and record overrides. They are perhaps, even for the more advanced users, is not something that everyone has seen, but they are available. So what we have here is public override sealed string. Now, of course, it will be string because if we do ToString, we will be returning a string. That is quite obvious. Other than that, it's just generic stuff for the person, for that method. And we have here the ToString, and the result is simply we put first name, last name, and the date of birth inside here. So the date of birth will be like this. Date of birth will be a specific sort of format in the whole thing. So that is the override part. And then we also have the actual usage of it. So we do sort of construct and prepare the person object now in this case. And then we use ToString. So we have person, ToString, and the result will be all those things joined together, the name, then we have a space, and we have a last name, and then we have the born on, the birth date. Very simple, right? It will give us a string, which we can then display in a website. We can display it in WPF somewhere. We can send it to an email, do all kinds of different things. But also something interesting to notice, if we are using consoles, for logging, perhaps for playing around with, whatever it is, you can actually at that point just put the whole person in, and that will use ToString, just like you have, for example, a double type. A double type, when you put in a console write line, it will use ToString to display basically a text representation of that number. That is how it works. So it is actually possible. Once you use the override on your record, you can actually just put it in console write line and you'll get your result. And with that said, we will conclude this video.